back to you with the Tale of Despereaux, and today we will read Chapter 5, What Furlough Saw. And remember, the last image I shared with you was Princess P and Despereaux. The Princess P looked down at Despereaux. She smiled at him, and while her father played another song, a song about the deep purple falling over sleepy garden walls, the princess reached out and touched the top of the mouse's head. Despereaux stared up at her in wonder. The pea, decided, looked just like the picture of the fairy maiden in the book in the library. The princess smiled at Despereaux again, and this time Despereaux smiled back. And then something incredible happened. The mouse fell in love. I'm going to show you that image again. Oh. Reader, you may ask this question. In fact, you must ask this question. Is it ridiculous for a very small, sickly, big-eared mouse to fall in love with a beautiful human princess named P? The answer is yes. Of course it's ridiculous. Love is ridiculous. But love is also wonderful and powerful. And Despereaux's love for the Princess P would prove in time to be all of these things: powerful, wonderful, and ridiculous. "You're so sweet," said the princess to Despereaux. "You're so tiny." As Despereaux looked up at her adoringly, Furlough happened to scurry past the princess's room, moving his head left to right, right to left, back and forth. "Cripes!" said Furlough. He stopped. He stared into the princess's room. His whiskers became as tight as bowstrings. What Furlough saw was Despereaux Tilling sitting at the foot of the king. What Furlough saw was the princess touching the top of his brother's head. "Cripes!" shouted Furlough again. "Oh, Cripes! He's nuts! He's a goner!" And executing a classic scurry, Furlough went off to tell his father, Lester Tilling, the terrible, unbelievable news of what he had just seen. I'm going to read Chapter 6 as well. Chapter 6, This Drum. He simply cannot be my son," Lester said. He clutched his whiskers with his front paws and shook his head from side to side in despair. "Of course he is your son," said Antoinette. "What do you mean he is not your son? This is a ridiculous statement. Why must you always make the most ridiculous statements?" "You," said Lester. "This is your fault. The French blood in him has made him crazy." "C'est moi?" said Antoinette. "C'est moi? Why must it always be I who takes the blame? It is your son is such the disappointment. It is as much your fault as it is mine." "Something must be done," said Lester. He pulled on a whisker so hard that it came loose. He waved the whisker over his head. He pointed at his wife. "He will be the end of us all," he shouted, sitting at the foot of a human king. "Unbelievable! Unthinkable! Oh, so dramatic," said Antoinette. She held out one paw and studied her painted nails. "He is a small mouse. How much of the harm can he do?" "If there's one thing I've learned in this world," said Lester, "it is that mice must act like mice, or else there is bound to be trouble. I will call a special meeting of the Mouse Council. Together, we will decide what must be done." "Oh," said Antoinette, "you and this Council of the Mouse, it is a waste of the time in my opinion." "Don't you understand?" shouted Lester. "He must be punished. He must be brought up before the tribunal." He pushed past her and dug furiously through a pile of paper scraps until he uncovered a thimble with a piece of leather stretched across its open end. "Oh, please," said Antoinette. She covered her ears. "Not this drum of the Council of the Mouse." "Yes," said Lester, "the drum." He held it up high above his head, first to the north, and then to the south, and then to the east, and then to the west. He lowered it and turned his back to his wife and closed his eyes and took a deep breath and began to beat the drum slowly. One long beat with his tail, 2 staccato beats with his paws. Boom, ta-ta, boom, ta-ta, boom, ta-ta, boom. The rhythm of the drum was a signal for the members of the Mouse Council. Boom, ta-ta, boom, ta-ta, boom, ta-ta, boom. The beating of the drum let them know that an important decision would have to be made, one that affected the safety and the well-being of the entire mouse community. Boom, ta-ta, boom, but boom, ta-ta, boom. And that is the end of chapter 6. I look forward to reading you chapter 7, A Mouse in Love. Goodbye for now, my friends.